The new Kawasaki ZX4RR is here. I made a video 5 months ago predicting that this bike was coming, and it looks like I was correct. I told you guys I would not steer you wrong. Kawasaki today has made history by announcing their all-new ZX4RR. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it. The ZX4RR is not to be confused with the Ninja 400. The ZX4RR is an inline-4 track-focused supersport bike, and the Ninja 400, although can be an excellent track bike, it is not designed with that in mind from the factory. So let's dive right into the specifications of this all-new ZX4RR. Featuring a 399cc inline-4 engine, the ZX4RR will produce around 77 horsepower, which I did predict 70 horsepower in my video 5 months ago, so I'm glad to see I wasn't too far off from that mark. Although I have seen some sources claiming that with Ram Air you can see it as high as 80 horsepower. The red line is going to be at 11,500 RPM, which I'll admit is a little bit disappointing. I thought it would be a lot higher, especially when you consider we have leader bikes that can rev up to 15,000 RPM. The engine being a tiny little inline-4 makes it the star of the show at a glance, but the real star of the show is actually the suspension. This ZX4RR will feature very impressive Showa SFF BP 37mm inverted front forks with spring preload adjustability, along with a rear horizontal backlink unit for the rear that will have adjustable compression, rebound, and spring preload. And up front we have, halting this bike to a stop, a set of dual monoblock opposed 4-piston calipers with 290mm front discs and a single piston caliper with a 220mm rear disc for the back. The seat height is a very manageable 31.5 inch, and this bike will have a curb weight of just 414 pounds and a 4-gallon fuel capacity. Kawasaki is using the exact same steel trellis frame that they used in their ZX25R and the same bodywork as well, making the two bikes almost completely identical. The ZX4RR is not lacking any features either. It is packed well with technology. It has a 3-mode traction control system, up and down quick shifter, slipper clutch, power modes, ABS, and a 4.3 full color TFT display, supporting smartphone connectivity using the Rideology app. All of this will come at an MSRP of $9,699. Now I know that's a lot of money for a 400cc bike, especially considering the Kawasaki is also selling the much more powerful ZX6R for just $10,999. So the ZX6R offers for just $1,300 more an additional 50 horsepower with just an extra 11-pound curb weight penalty. Now of course you have to factor in that ABS and quick shifter are supposed to be standard for the ZX4RR versus the ZX6R. It's an additional $1,000 price. So that does widen the gap to $2,300 between the ZX4RR and the ZX6R with ABS. Now we will get back to the comparison with the ZX6R and the ZX4RR in a minute, but let's go back to the ZX4R and talk about the aesthetics of this bike. The ZX4RR definitely looks like a Ninja. As mentioned before, it is basically a copy of the ZX25R, so you probably can't notice too much of a difference between the two. Nothing risky with the design, but overall just a nice looking bike. I do notice at a glance that the bars seem pretty high. I'm guessing that's going to make this bike relatively comfortable, which was a big surprise to me as well. I thought as a track-focused bike it would have very aggressive clip-ons, but it doesn't. However, I believe that's a good thing. Anybody that's serious about the track will replace clip-ons anyway, so this at least allows the default riding setting to be a bit more comfortable, and to be honest, these standard bars are still very capable for an entry-level track rider. The only other differences I could see at a glance is that the ZX4RR will have a 160 rear tire and a dual disc brakes for the front, versus the ZX25R, which will have a 150 rear tire and a single disc brake in the front. Now I want to spend some time talking about this full color TFT display. As mentioned before, it's 4.3 inches in size and will feature a special track mode, which adds a lap timer. It will also feature a gear indicator, speedometer, and tachometer that are all very easy to read. Oh, and look at that, you even get a fuel gauge. You can choose between 2 power modes, full or low power. Each has a separate throttle mapping. And of course, as mentioned before, you have the smartphone Rideology app capabilities, which will give you the ability to look at maintenance records and other parameters, along with making changes to the bike as well. It's a really cool feature that Kawasaki's been adding to almost all their bikes, and I really like the idea. Now I would like to spend a moment explaining why someone would pick this bike over the ZX6R. As mentioned before, the price difference is technically $1,300, but if you do factor in ABS, then it's really $2,300. And $2,300 is no small amount of money. That is over 20% increase in price. With $2,300, you can take this track focused bike to the track 7 or 8 times, which you will have an absolute blast doing. The thing I've learned the most in my 10 years of riding is that it is fun to be able to rev out a bike, and you learn the most on a smaller bike. Having so much power and being able to pull yourself into another dimension with these fast super bikes is fun, but it's also really dangerous and hard to master, especially when a corner presents itself. You will have a lot more fun on a smaller bike because you'll be able to go full throttle and shift up near the red line and really be able to push yourself into the corners without fear of sending yourself off the road. The most fun I've ever had on a bike was taking my SV650 to the track, and I was able to learn so much more about myself and my bike when I brought it there. Kawasaki has quickly become my favorite manufacturer, and I'm going to make a video on that later, but they are always constantly pushing the limits and giving the consumers what they want. I have the utmost respect for Kawasaki, and I am excited to see what else they have for us in the future. I really hope I get the chance to ride the new ZX4RR. If anyone watching this video is in the Massachusetts area, whether you're a dealer or a rider who plans on buying one of these, and you are interested, I would love to make a review on one of these bikes in person. You can shoot me an email over at HeroRR@gmail.com. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are excited about the ZX4RR, please let me know down in the comments if you would take one over a ZX6R. I'd be very curious to see what you guys think. Anyway, take care everyone and ride safe.
It's a sick news, pull your little arrows out. Let me live my life, the one I'd better lead. All the blondes of fantasies, and we looked at them 11 ways. You said, look at me, I looked away, and you wrote the song I wanna play. Alright.